Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I am coming to you live to show you a little bit about what's going on with the current weather hazards that's going on. I just got an update recently here that Hurricane Larry now is the system that's in the Atlantic, and it's now been upgraded to a Category 2. This is the current track for Larry. It is in the middle of the Atlantic right now, said to be a tropical, or I'm sorry, it's going to be upgraded to a Category 3 and then to a 4 starting tomorrow. This is 9/5 at midnight, and that'll be not tonight. It's 12:28 on the 4th now. Tomorrow night, it's going to be upgraded to a 4, and it's going to stay there for the next couple of days until Tuesday when it starts to reach up towards the United States coast, just off the coast of that. So we're taking a good look at what's going on here. And the other concern here is this tropical system that is in the Gulf of Mexico right here. I looked at this morning. This yellow line right here signifies its movement. This is where it was kind of this morning, was in the southern portion of the Gulf of Mexico, and this is where it is now. And I think I caught it in my video earlier that I did today, and that was like early in the morning. I did that video and it was down here. So it's moving pretty quick, and it was at 20% this morning. It's at now 30% chance of tropical storm formation over the next 5 days. So based on what we know about its movement, it's heading straight north, it looks like, into the Gulf. Now, over the next 5 days, it's moving pretty quick. So, I mean, there's two ways that I kind of, I'm thinking that this might go, and one of them is good and one of them is bad. So I'm hoping that we're, hoping for the best here, where it's going to cross this front right here, and it's going to go into the country before the 5 days of its approximate formation, and once it gets over land, hopefully just dissipate and turn into a bad storm. You know, Nothing more, nothing less, and the other way that I'm hoping that it doesn't go is that once it crosses this front, even though this isn't a high pressure system right here, there is a low right here, a low pressure system, that outflow boundary line in this front right here. So what happened with Ida is that when it hit Louisiana, and it actually eventually crossed one of the fronts, and when it went across the front, it actually intensified. And what happened in New York City was definitely not a fluke. That was 3.5 inches of rain about an hour, somewhere along those lines. So the entirety of New York City had massive flooding. They were under a flooding emergency. Actually, it's like their first one ever. And all of New York City is paved. The water has nowhere to go. So that was just a really bad situation, really. And there was a meteorologist that was covering it today, and he was talking about it, and he's also a scientist and works with the climate change and things like that. But you know what I mean, he said it, and he said this might be a product of climate change, because when you get that warmth and that moisture going up into the atmosphere, I mean, the atmosphere can hold a total about that, like 7% of that moisture. Water's got to go somewhere. So that's where it goes. You know what I mean? That's what kind of happens here. So with all that heat and moisture, it's intensifying. These storms are going to get bigger hurricanes. They're going to be smaller, and they're going to be stronger, I'm sorry, and they're going to be more frequent, unfortunately. And that's kind of what we're seeing here, is we're seeing these hurricanes just popping up left and right. And even though this is, kind of a normal thing, kind of a hurricane-rich kind of season, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we're no strangers to having a lot of hurricanes, especially this time of year and things like that. It just seems like they're getting a little bit stronger than what we anticipate at times. Like Ida, that was bad. So with this moving up into Louisiana, that definitely is a concern, because I know that these people along the coast that were hit by Ida significantly, they're trying to recuperate, they're trying to recover, they're trying to get their world back, so to speak. And this is developing, and they're going to get more rain, they're going to get more stuff going on. So I'm hoping, that everybody's going to be all right there with that. We also have some fronts that are going on with low pressure system, and we got some thunderstorm things going on here. There is a thunderstorm warning that is in effect, and it looks like it's going to be in effect for another 42 minutes as of now. They did modify it. I think it got smaller, so I think it's kind of dying down a little bit, but yeah, this is in Colorado, in Prowers, Colorado. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. So yeah, I was looking at this earlier, and that was the one thing that I was kind of concerned about looking at this because of how straight lined this kind of line is on the front of this storm. And you know, anytime that you get straightish lines like this on these storms, just ahead of it, you're going to have some of those really high winds, and they're going to be like kind of, you know, rolling underneath, you know what I mean, where you're getting that drop and that lift, and it's just kind of a reciprocal process here. But you know, just ahead of these lines, you're going to get those high winds, those strong winds. So definitely, if you live in these areas where you get this flood warning, these flash flood watch, you know what I mean? Batten down the hatches. Just make sure that your property is, you know, secured, and your family is secured, and you know, make sure your family has a plan. And everybody stays safe, especially through these times where you're getting these high winds, torrential rainfall, and possibly some hail, because this is the warm sector. Still, again, still pretty high temperatures here. A lot of moisture going up into the atmosphere, and that definitely has the probability to cause some hail. So, and these systems are now kind of starting to curve. It looks like this one was kind of moving southeast, but it's actually going to, you know, kind of be curving with this front along to the east, and then eventually make the curve heading northeast. So, but I think that you're not out of the hat yet, you know what I mean? I think it's going to be day 1 and day 2 is going to be a result of these storms kind of ripping across the Midwest. So you're going to have thunderstorms in these areas for the next today and tomorrow is what it looks like. Day 1 and day 2. Day 3, it looks like it's going to clear up. I'll show you all that from the National Weather Service here in a second. But the other thing here is, let me go to this. Alright, and let's check it out. So I was looking at the atmospherics that is going on here, and I'll show you these warm sectors. So there's our temperatures, still in the 80s, 70s in the Midwest, around these areas where we're getting these storms coming in, and they haven't really hit the warm sector yet. But once they go in there, you're going to have a little bit of that jump in convection possible, but I don't think that we have a lot of tornado probabilities with this. The tornado risk is very low. So I think that what everybody's going to primarily have to worry about is rain and hail. That's really what it's going to be. It's the primary threats is high winds and some hail and torrential rainfall. Definitely some flooding that is going to be a threat in this. These dew points are 60s, 70s, you know, and then they kind of taper off into the 50s and 40s and even 30s in some places. But there's that wet sector you can see right there where you're getting a lot of moisture in the atmosphere right there, which is going to cause a lot of that instability with those warm temperatures. Cape levels, 1,000, 2,000, some places here. That's showing that atmospheric instability that's rolling out these storms and giving them their punch here. Wind shear is definitely there. Got some 50s and some 60s that is going on. Significant wind shear, which usually in the springtime or something like that, that's enough to really get things spinning, and that's when you have your high tornado risk. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be as probable of a tornado risk. Service vortice is at kind of like mid-levels. It's not very high, but it's not zero either. So, and that supercell composite there, same thing, not high, but not zero. Tornado parameter, very low, very much really on the lower scale there. It's, you know, and a little tiny spots of helicity have been popping up here and there, but not a whole lot. So, I mean, I wouldn't really, I'm not too worried and not too concerned about a tornado risk tonight or tomorrow. It doesn't really look that promising to me, but definitely some higher end thunderstorms. Yes, definitely. Some torrential rainfall, possibly some thunder and lightning attributed with this, as well as hail. That's going to be your primary threats, as well as high winds. All right, so National Weather Service, this is our current convection outlook that is going on that you saw on my radar here. And then day 2, then you're getting that marginal risk where it shifts a little bit to the south, southeast, and you're seeing that stretch across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois. And that is see, that's that tornado risk is very, very low, less than 2%. All right, so high winds is probably going to be your primary threat here, and hail, this is less than 5%, but it still is a lower end possibility. And if you do get hail, it's probably going to be the similar kind of thing that you read in my radar there, where I told you it was about the penny-size hail here. So let me see, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail. Yeah. So that's probably the same, it's going to be the same kind of factor going into tomorrow. But I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, and I want to reiterate it, that even though it says high winds that's going to be going on, you're still going to be looking at 50s to 60s, you know what I mean, as far as wind speeds in these high winds with these storms. So I say it all the time, you don't need a tornado to have damage to property or loss of life, injuries, you know what I mean? These kinds of things can happen without tornadoes. So these high winds, I mean, with all that rainfall, you know, you guys out in the southeast or in the south, anywhere where you get a lot of tornadoes and bad weather, you know how it works. You know, get a lot of rain, trees uproot because, you know, the wind blows over, the soil is nice and saturated and soft. A lot of things can happen. You don't need a tornado to have damage. So, you know, make sure you secure your property. Make sure your family has a plan just to, you know, be safe, just, you know, in case anything does happen. So you might want to look at that and just be weather aware over the next couple of days. You know, not an emergency situation, but you still want to, you know what's going on. So, all right, pivotal weather was kind of being goofy a little bit earlier. I think their models, I think their site is down for right now. But we're looking at the current weather systems and hazards that were going on here. So you can see these, you know, flood warnings that are going on. Severe thunderstorm warning out in Colorado. That's the one that I was telling you guys about. And then you get some flood watches that are kind of popping up here. Flood warnings. This is a flood watch. That's right. So, you know, a lot of rainfall that's going on in these areas as well. I was also watching another thing from another scientist that works with climatology and all this stuff, and he's looking at the climate and everything, and he was saying, talking about these droughts. If you guys if anybody lives out in the West, out there where you're getting that dry and that, you know, hot weather that was going on, and it's just really, really dry, and you're getting a lot of those fires that are going on. Unfortunately, he was saying with the climate change being the way that it is at its current rate, he was saying these droughts are not only going to continue, they're going to get worse. So he was, you know, not specific on it. I think it's something that they're avidly still researching to get more information on so that they can, you know, tell everybody exactly what's going on. But exactly is not really, it's not really a word in our field. You know what I mean? We try to get close, but we can't get exact. So it looks like the models are not working for me out of Pivotal for right now. This is the National Hurricane Service where I was talking about Larry that's going up there is now at Category 2. 115 mile an hour sustained winds at 965 millibars of pressure. That is, you know, pretty significant. It's already a beast. It's making its way to the northeastern coast in a way like this. It's going to be a Category 4 after tomorrow. That's going to be a Category 4 for the next couple of days, and then said to weaken to a Category 3 before it actually reaches the United States coast. Let's hope that's the case, but a lot of things can change in the next couple of days. So I'm going to try to keep you guys updated on what's going on. Alrighty, so that's pretty much what we're looking at as far as the current weather situation here. So hopefully everything is going to die down a little bit, but we can definitely hope for the best. And this was just recently they actually put the radar on this as far as the high def radar. The radar started actually picking it up. Before it was just clouds, but now it's actually starting to pick it up, and you can really see that rotation and that strength that's building up in that thing. So it's really cranking up, and it's going to be cranking up to that Category 4 in the next couple days here. So, and then you can see where it's going to be downgraded to a Category 3, and that's what they're anticipating right now, but this isn't a verbatim set in stone thing. A lot of things can change, so I'm going to have to keep you guys updated within the next couple of days and let you know exactly what's going on. I'd like to thank you all for watching and joining me, and stay safe out there and have a great weekend.